What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Today, live from Sprite Studios, we'll be discussing what we think is next in the Bad Batch.
You, Sprite.
One thing I noticed on this episode, before we go into anything that might be down the road, is I noticed that they were using the Bad Batch was using stun when they were shooting at these stormtroopers.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I thought that was a little unusual.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that really since the A New Hope.
When Princess Leia got
Yeah,
stunned?
that'd be the first time that we were, right away when they set their blasters to stun.
There's one. Set for stun.
Yeah, now why do they care? Why do they care? Why you answer that question?
I was really curious about that myself. I thought that was a little unusual. I don't, I was wondering if there's any particular reason, and yeah, I'd love to know more about that.
But why?
We don't know.
I think the reason they're doing it is because while they're in a transition period, you notice the armor was still clone armor. So I think they were looking at these as their brothers who they know that it's the chip causing them to be this way, working for the Empire, not their actual who they are. So they were stunning them and not killing them because they see them as their brothers. I think once we get past Tarkin replacing all of the clones with whatever he's doing next, they won't be so nice. But I think it was because they thought of them as their brothers.
That makes a lot more sense than what I was initially thinking. I thought maybe there was still some programming within the Bad Batch that had been missed. I wasn't sure what was causing it.
But like I'm saying, we don't know that for sure. That's just a theory. So if you have theories, we want to hear them.
Absolutely. Please put them in the comments below.
Did you have something else that concerned you about this show?
I did, actually, and that has to do with Omega. Or Omega? I'm sorry, it's hard
I
to
go
tell
with
sometimes.
Omega. Yeah.
The way that she says her own name.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Don't get me started on that.
So,
But, Boba was the Alpha. She's the Omega, the beginning and end, right?
Yes, Alpha and the Omega. Absolutely.
The Omega.
But, so I was a little taken aback by her sudden promotion, I suppose you will, to strategic genius. What is she, all of 10 years old? We still haven't quite figured out exactly how old she is. But yeah, I thought that was kind of unusual that all of a sudden she's an expert at that game, which is escaping me the name of it. I just know that we saw it in A New Hope when, and we know that, Chewbacca cheats, but we're not allowed to say it.
And Chewbacca will rip your arms off if he loses.
Absolutely.
So what's going to happen if Chewbacca plays Omega?
I guess we'll have to find out.
Well, I guess we will not see her in The Mandalorian.
If we see
Well, we'll
her
see
as
a
an
one-armed.
adult
Right.
in the Mandalorian verse,
Oh, that'd
she
be
may
great,
not have
then we'll
arms.
know. Yeah.
She may have Luke Skywalker arms.
What
So-
happened? I beat a Wookiee in chess.
So you heard it here first. Solo 2, the sequel, we're going to see Omega lose her arm. 100% confirmed.
And the thing that does bother me about that too is if she just new shows, she just gains a new power every time.
Yeah.
And there's no explanation. That's just that whatever's going on inside of her. I kind of don't like that.
So I suppose the person, there's got to be a reason for it, kind of personality that I've got in me. I'm kind of a lot like you in that regard, where I'm thinking, okay, well, she can't just suddenly be, because they haven't shown this at all in the show. There's been no...
She's not Rey.
No. Well, so I was wondering if this is maybe some sort of tinkering that was done at Kamino. Did the Kaminoans do something with this? Is she maybe not as 100% pure as, as we thought? Maybe there's a chip in her of some kind, or maybe there's some sort of tinkering done with her genetics to make her more adept at this kind of thing, to make her a little bit smarter. When we see all of the little Jango Fett clones, in their education pods in Attack of the Clones, did she receive some sort of special education that made her more adept at this? Or are we using weird Star Wars logic, which is kind of, shitty genetics, where you because your ancestor was good at something, all of a sudden you are too.
And I kept thinking, did Jango and Boba ever display any of this in any of the movies? We know for sure one thing, that Jango can't sense a Jedi behind him with a lightsaber. So as long as there's no, Jedis behind Omega with a lightsaber, she may be okay. But I kind of thought it was odd, too, that she was all of a sudden just the greatest strategic person ever in the history of time. And maybe it is. I would like it if it was something the Camoans did, because they keep talking how this is kind of their next product or what they're going to have out. So we've talked about it being a super soldier. We've talked about it, being force enhanced. But I think this may be them kind of revealing it slowly. She has all these additional things added to her. She's a superior clone. She has all these enhancements, and it's going to play out over the course of the Bad Batch and maybe later.
I hope that you're right, because I'm hoping that there's a greater explanation other than, she's badass today.
She can just do it, man.
She can just do it, man. Yeah. I'm hoping that at least that is a potential reason. I am curious what you guys think though as well, because this is something that kind of threw me off. I didn't expect that. It's not terrible. Like, I don't hate it, but I just wanted an explanation.
I just want, I know his Filoni's shows go deep into characters. I just want to see where this is all coming from. I don't want to be like, just accepting all of it. I want something sprinkled in there.
No, they definitely. And then I think finally, I was watching this episode, especially when Hunter was telling Omega, "You're staying here this time. That's an order, and you have to follow orders." She is getting a much more military sort of upbringing than what Boba Fett got. He was hanging out with bounty hunters because his dad was. They all knew that he was a clone and what his potential was. So they're basically having, Omega is being raised like drinking Sprite. And Boba Fett is being raised by that cheap, pale knockoff Sierra Mist. So,
Oh, that poor child.
I know. That's why he turned out the way he did. He's kind of good, but he's more evil, and he does whatever it takes to get the job done. So are we going to see them at odds in the book of Boba Fett, or maybe in The Mandalorian? Basically, later on in the universe, they're going to have two different sort of ways of looking at the world. Boba Fett is, I'm going to get whatever I need, and I'll do anything to get it. She may be a lot more selfless. Hey, I need to help people because I have these powers, and she's gonna be more of a rebel, and he's gonna be more of a mercenary. And I think they may come at odds, and I see the beginnings of them setting this up now. I don't know if we're ever gonna get it paid off. It may not be Book of Boba Fett, it may be even further down the line. But I see the seeds they're planting, and I'm looking forward to how it all develops.
And
I
you
know
look
where
at,
you're going.
and Fennec already knows her.
Oh, yeah.
So that would make sense for them to run into each other on that show.
And I also know where you're going with this. We're obviously going to see Omega show up with a cybernetic arm, or two cybernetic arms, rather, because obviously she lost to Chewbacca.
Well, we know in Solo 2
One
that
against Chewbacca. Yeah.
Chewbacca's gonna send the one, after her, and she's gonna duck it and counter punch,
Absolutely.
and then swing with a swinging back fist and knock out the other one, and then her arms get ripped off.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be graphic. It's gonna be rated R. My sources at Lucasfilm have told me that Solo 2 will be the first R-rated Star Wars movie because of the graphic violence of Omega getting her arms ripped off. Yes, thank you.
What are you doing there,
I'm
Dave?
gonna reel that in for these guys. It's ridiculous.
But that's what we think. What's coming up next in the Bad Batch? But what do you guys think? Please put it in the comments below, and we will see you next time on Not Your Status Quo.